So, hello, David. Thank you very much for accepting my invite on Facebook. Let's talk about the network marketing industry and direct selling, social selling, whatever they call it. It's basically about then the compensation plan. But I'd like to know first, how did you start 35 years ago? And can you give me a small summary about what you're doing in network marketing?
Okay. Well, first of all, Ted, I just want to thank you for the service you provide with Business for Home and also the invitation to interview with you. It's a
Thank you.
privilege. It's a funny thing. I happen to be in the area around where I live here in Toronto, where I was very first exposed to network marketing, December of 1989. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pull over because I'm in the car and park in the parking lot of the very place right behind me where I went to my first meeting, December of 1989, a Saturday morning. 27 years old. I had come out of, blue collar. I was a tradesperson, also in car restoration with my brother. And I answered an ad in a newspaper and ended up at a meeting, Saturday
Totally,
morning, Super Saturday.
you were totally cold prospect. No, they didn't.
I didn't know. I'd never heard of network marketing. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was ice cold, as green as they come.
Okay.
But I was motivated. I was, married a couple of years. Our first child was on the way, and I was highly motivated to do something. I had no formal education per se. I finished high school and that was it. So I really had nowhere to go. And that's the beautiful thing about this industry. If you're motivated, you're teachable, you're coachable, um, extraordinary things can happen. Now, at the time, had no idea. What did I get at this first meeting? Because I really didn't know what was going on. I saw the product. They did the presentation. It happened to be water filters. But what caught my attention, if there's one thing that I recall, it was the concept of, instead of getting paid on a 40-hour work week based on 100% of my own efforts,
Yep.
the concept was, by developing a customer base, one could earn on 40 hours, 100 hours, 1,000 hours a day, a week of productivity by helping others have success. And then you could have the quote unquote royalty residual income based on a consumer base. That's what I remembered. That's what got my attention. That's why I joined this industry at that time.
Okay, so that immediately answered my second questions. What triggered you to sign up? But that was basically, let's say, the whole compensation plan. Am I right?
Yeah, it's like the idea of having time freedom, the idea of being able to work from home, do the work once and get paid over and over again.
Yeah.
The idea of not having to commute to a job, the idea of having no ceiling as to how big you could get by developing your customer base nationally. In those days, we didn't talk international. We talked local and we talked national. And today, of course, it's international.
Now, if you're looking to let's say, the compensation plan, the money involved, it's not typical. You always have to make this disclaimer. But what has been your highest month check in the business in that 35 years?
Well, again, everything is based on your skill set, your drive, your consistency, your work ethic, and all of those things, right? For me, the one time, which I thank you for the article that you did for me at that time, I had a one-time month check, which had a number of bonuses and other things attached to it, of 610,000 US, which was the biggest check of my career
Okay.
in these 35 years.
Okay. Yeah. And as we said, not typical, but okay. Okay, that's nice to know. And what was at that time the size of your team? Do we talk about thousands of people or more?
I don't remember the exact numbers, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000 people.
Wow. How did you manage to do so, to build up that team? Because you
Okay,
start
well,
with zero, you start with nothing, nada, everybody.
okay, so what people need to, I think, understand, and I think many misconceptions, especially for someone that's never been involved in the industry, is where am I going to find all these people? Well, I can tell you, it wasn't my doing. It was in developing a team, working with a core group, teaching that core group to follow a system, and then duplication takes hold. One person tells another, who tells another, who tells another, and then things start to grow geometrically. So, my job was to get the ball rolling with, an inner circle, but the real growth, the real duplication, the real expansion uh, comes from people that I've never met, people that I didn't know, people that I met through other people and through other people. And of course, then things start to grow beyond my own personal efforts. And
Okay, now,
so 99% of those people that are on my team and currently on my team, I've never even met.
now duplication, that's it. Now, a nasty question. What was your lowest check? And not your first
um,
most, but then because then it is nada, nothing.
right. Well, I can tell you my lowest check in the first year of
Yeah,
my involvement in the industry was no check.
no check.
Um,
Okay.
so, but I've had checks, of $100, of $50. I mean, not something you could live on. But everything starts somewhere, right?
Yep.
So yeah, they've been pretty small, way back when, the first year, even the second year.
Okay, now I've noticed that your journey in network marketing was really, let's say, you did a lot of companies because of the mergers. And how are you looking to that one?
Everybody has a different journey and a different path in the industry, as you know, Ted.
Yeah.
Some people are fortunate, and maybe, is it fortunate? They join a company, and it's their very first company, and that company that they joined becomes a giant and a 10-year, 20-year-old company. And I have friends and peers in the industry that have been in one company and maybe two companies in their whole career.
Yeah.
I wasn't so lucky, and I don't even want to call it luck. The choices that I made were made because I really didn't have the experience or the business acumen. I didn't know what the questions were to ask. So it took me down a path of having to build and rebuild multiple times. Over my 34, 30, almost 35 years, I've built 9 different organizations, 2 of which have lasted, well over half of my career. So in the first half of the career, there was a lot of mergers. Companies didn't make it, didn't go the distance. Now, there is a silver lining to that, because there's never failure in the industry. There's only lessons. You gain experience, you learn, you grow, you develop. And so each and every time I rebuilt, or I moved, or I was a consultant, or I was corporate, and even an owner a couple of times, I learned different aspects of the business. I've mastered the art of rebuilding momentum and rebuilding organizations because I had to start over. So I don't look at it as failure, and I don't look at it as not being as fortunate as someone who joined one company. I look at it as a blessing because it's given me a lot more depth in terms of navigating this particular industry.
Well, for me, that is the definition of a top leader. I mean, if you can build it multiple times, you really understand how to do it. And I think that is one of the great aspects of network marketing. Now, if you are looking to your present company, Isogenics, it's restructured last year. It was refinanced last year. How is this moment the situation there? So I'm not looking for
Okay.
high pitch. I'm not looking for things.
No.
So just give me. Can you give me an update?
So there's different perceptions depending at what angle you're looking at it from. In some respects, people might look at it as a situation that has had a lot of challenges, and is that a good place to be? My experience has been there's been many companies that have gone through a variety of evolutions, changes, ownership, passing it on to the kids and or takeovers, mergers, as you know, Ted. And in those situations, when you look at the Amways of the world or the Herbalifes of the world, what's ended up happening is something different has emerged, right? And the next generation of leadership has taken over. Certainly in the companies that are now 20, 30, 40 years old, and there are several of those, as you know, they emerge as something completely different, a new set of leadership and so forth. So for me, I look at it now as a second opportunity. Why? Well, because there's no competition from a standpoint of the old guard is doing what the old guard is doing.
Yeah.
But there's a whole new space. There's a new space for the next generation of leadership to emerge. And that's how I look at it.
So you mean things like more social media, things like that one? Or
yeah. I mean, even right now, there's new leaders. I'm 61, but there's new people now in their 40s. Okay, people that when I was 27 and started in the industry, they weren't born yet.
yeah.
Okay. They weren't born yet. Now I'm 6 or barely born, maybe 5 years old. And now these people that were 5 years old when I started are the fastest growing people in the company, right? So what does that tell you? It tells you that out with the old, in with the new. And I guess the whole world is like that. When I look at things in retrospect from where I sit today, is there were people who trained me that were in their 50s and 60s and 40s when I was 27 years old getting started, right? That generation, they're gone. They're gone, or they're retired, or they're grandparents or great grandparents. And so that's how I see things now.
But you are still totally up in the game, full power, a lot of energy, and you're just 61. I'm 66. So this is a conversation between old guys, I think.
Well, actually, you know what?
Experienced guys. Yeah.
You look pretty good. You're looking good, Ted, at 66.
Thank you.
I got to tell you. I don't want to say I'm at the same level of power that when I was in my 40s or 30s, but I can say that I have a whole lot more wisdom as it relates to business and leadership and personal development and working with others and so forth. And so, yes, the next run for me, now that I'm in the quote unquote fourth quarter of life. Hopefully there'll be overtime after the fourth quarter. I see nothing but, great things. It's going to look different, but there's always good things on the horizon. There's always new things coming out.
Okay. I think we will hear more from you. I think that. So I would like to thank you very much for this interview. And hey, I wish you a lot of success. You're in the Netherlands. Oh, sorry, I'm in the Netherlands. You're in Canada, Toronto. So thank you for the Zoom. Say bye-bye.
Thank you, Ted. Thanks for all that you do and contribute to the industry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.